everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to Nusantara Women Conversations. So you're now watching this first on Instagram Live, and you'll also be able to listen to the Nusantara Women podcast after this live session. So now, if you are new to the term Nusantara, Nusantara actually refers to an old Javanese term that translates to the outer islands, or some of us may know that to be or to represent the Malay archipelago. So Nusantara also refers to the extent of Malay cultural influences across a few countries in Southeast Asia. So that's like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, and also South Thailand, Philippines, and East Timor. So, total disclaimer, I'm coming into this with a lot of questions. I am not, I don't have great historical knowledge or anything like that, but this is not what the series is about. This series is about me wanting to solidify my sense of identity and place in this world. And I thought, why not explore this with other women, and more specifically, other Southeast Asian Malay women. So I'm just really excited to be here. Thank you all of you so much for joining. And this session will go on for about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how much my first guest and I talk. And we will get a chance to ask my first guest a few questions at the end of the session if you have any questions. If not, I am so excited now to invite my first guest, Anis Nabila. She's Malaysia's celebrity chef. She's a powerhouse from Malaysia. She has done over 50 TV shows in Malaysia and has been cooking professionally for over 17 years. So I'm really excited to get her on.
Oh, hi, Anis. Thank you so much for joining me and being the first guest of this show.
It's so crazy. I can't believe I'm the first one, but thank you so much for thinking of me. Hi, Belle. I see you. I miss and love you.
Hi, Belle. All right, so let's get into it. It'll just be a little fun, casual session between the both of us. And so I mean, we'll just go right into it. Most of us know Anis as the celebrity chef, from Malaysia. We know Anis as a daughter. We know Anis as one of many sisters. But who is Anis Nabila? What is your story?
Okay, so I'm Anis Nabila. Hi, everyone. I am a Malaysian woman. I am 35 years old. I am one of 8. I've got 6 sisters, one brother. My brother passed away a few years ago. I think you remember that. That was back in 2016. So now it's just us girls. I am a TV chef. Have I said that already? I don't like the term celebrity chef because, I mean, at least I'm okay if people introduce me as that, but I will never introduce myself as a celebrity chef because I think it sounds a bit, I think TV chef sounds better when you're introducing yourself.
Got it.
So that's just a little bit about me. I am a passionate person. I don't think of myself as, as anything else but Anis Nabila, a normal person. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Anis. Full disclaimer, I've known Anis for almost a decade now. I think we met, maybe eight years ago on a show, on an Asian food channel show. Yes, an Asian food channel show called Eating Wild, and that was the first time I met you. And you, I remember even before meeting you, I was like, oh my God, because I'm familiar with you. I follow your cooking shows. I don't necessarily cook, but I do. And obviously, my family does, my mom, even my grandma, she's like, oh, Chef Anis, chef. So when I first met you, you're exactly what you say. You are, you're so incredibly humble. You see, that's the thing, when we get on a journey and when we gain popularity and things like that, and I want to know what your journey has been. You seem like you're the kind of person, you're a big family woman, you love being with your family and you're always putting your family first. What has that journey been like for you?
Um, okay, so this is what I've been telling people. Like, when I started doing TV, I was very blessed to have met so many amazing women as well, in the industry who, I've had conversations with, and they keep telling me at some point in your life, your fame might go away. So the most important thing to do is to always make sure that you are grounded. Keep your feet on the ground. Um, and I remember, like, at that point I was very young. I was 20. And I remember thinking, like, no, this is so crazy. Why are you saying these things to me? But along the way, I met other types of people who are in the industry, who embrace being popular, embrace that whole lifestyle. And it changes them. And I remember telling myself, to always keep my feet on the ground. I don't allow what I do to define me. It doesn't define me. To me, I'm just a regular person, and I love cooking. I love sharing my recipes with people. I think that's the main thing, like why I do what I do. And everything else, it comes with the job. I'm grateful. I'm happy, but I never let it define me. It's not who I am.
I love that. And I'm hearing just a lot of humility as well. And I'd love to know who's the biggest influence that keeps you grounded in your life?
It's my family, of course. Um, it's like, you stand in front of the camera, you do your thing. You have so many people around you, working with you, and then you go home. And like for me, I go home and I cook for my family. I go home, they don't treat me differently. I'm just honest. And I think that is important. Like, even not just my family, even the people I surround myself with, my friends, they're all like that. They don't, no one treats me.
Hello.
I don't get any VIP treatment from anyone. So I think it's definitely one of the reasons as to why I am the way I am. And yeah, I don't think I'm extra special compared to anyone else.
I love it. I wanna, pull you back in. Now we know you as this person, your TV chef. You've been cooking professionally for over 17 years. Where did it all begin? Where did this passion for cooking, where did it all come from? How did it all begin?
Okay, so I'm again one of eight, so it came naturally. I think all of my siblings can cook as well. We had to help mom out in the kitchen back then. Actually, we didn't have to. We wanted to. We like to just sibuk in the kitchen when she comes home from work, and she want to cook for us, and we'll just sit in the kitchen together with her. And mom and dad, they were great. They never stopped us from going into the kitchen or from like making a mess in the kitchen. They encouraged us, in fact. So I think, it started from that, from just like going into the kitchen and helping mixing things up and stirring things up. It kind of developed into something that I truly love. But I never did think that I would make a career out of it, because I I've always thought, it's a hobby. It's something I do when I'm bored and I enjoy doing. And back then, when I, get in trouble with my parents when I'm in school, kids, uh, when I don't listen to my parents, kids doing naughty things. And if I want to try and win them back, I will just cook for them. So
I
that
love it.
that I mean, it started off with that really. And when I finished high school, um, I wanted to read law. I wanted to read
Wow.
law. I wanted to do psychology. I wanted to
Very
do,
different paths.
yeah, journalism. And my mom said, so mom read law actually, but she didn't practice. She was in HR and she was working as a HR exec at a big company. And she sat me down one day and she said, don't you want to try study culinary? And remember, this was many, many, many years ago, like almost 2 decades ago. And I thought to myself, I'm like, that's just that's crazy. Why would you even like suggest that, Like girls don't study culinary because
Mhm.
it's something that, it's a man's job. And then she said, but you're so good at cooking and it's your passion. Don't you want to try it? If you give it a try, you might really love it. And I said to her, listen, I love cooking, but I don't want it to be my job because I don't want to go to work and having to cook and then come home and then cooking again. I'm just going to hate it. And she said, you you don't know how many people, like I know so many people. She said, I know so many people who hate their job. Like they tell me they hate their job. And you would be so fortunate to be doing something you truly love. And then I thought about it and I said, you know what? I really wanted to try on the chef's jacket, so I said okay. And then I told her, I'm gonna at least give it a try before saying no completely. And I
Mhm.
told her if I don't like it, I'm just gonna quit, and you cannot be upset with me. So she said, fine, give it a try. And I did. I went to a culinary institute, and 2 weeks in, I fell absolutely in love. It really was my calling.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I love how you kind of, as a start, it was just, a creativity that came through you wanting to stay away from trouble, maybe, all of that. And it just became
I
something that you love and that, you're
Yeah.
able to do something that you love. And now here we are 17 years later and you're still doing exactly what you love. I
Yeah.
have a few things I want to unpack from what you shared because you mentioned, gender as well,
Yeah.
about how this, you said something about how, this is a man's job. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. Do you go into it having those sort of, I guess, preconceptions of how this role, and what has it been like for you through this journey, about with your gender?
Absolutely. I mean, on my first day of orientation, I was told by a few of them, like, you don't belong here.
Wow.
It's a tough job. Like, you might not survive it. Somebody said, you should be on TV. And I'm like, why should I? I don't want to be on TV. I want to give this a try. At that point of time, obviously, I didn't even think about, being a TV chef or anything like that. It was just, I wanted to study culinary. And it was, it was such an amazing experience to me because I knew how to cook, but I didn't know how to cook like a chef. So when I went to culinary school, I learned all these French terms and then all these classical French dishes and French technique and everything. And it was amazing. And so I heard a lot of people telling me, like, you're not gonna survive this. It's going to be very difficult for you. You're in the wrong industry. But because I loved it so much, I just kind of told them, like, watch me, you know, like I literally said that. I'm like, well, I'm gonna try and prove you wrong, so just watch me. And on my first semester in school, in college, um, they sent me to represent the institute at an international cooking competition. I didn't win anything. That was my first competition, but I won the second and the third one. But yeah, at the age of 18, I was, representing the institute. And right after they said, you won't be able to make it.
Wow. Wow, I
Yeah.
love that, that spirit of not proving someone wrong, but really the fact that you knew that you can do it and you listened to your voice and you listened to your gut and you just went with it. That's
Yeah.
incredibly
Yeah.
inspiring.
I kind of get where they're coming from, and I don't think it came from a sexist uh, point of view. I think it was more. It is tough. It is tough. I worked in a hotel for a bit, and people can easily carry the things from the shelf just like that, and I have to climb the shelf. Because you know me, I'm petite. I'm not very tall, so of course I did. I had to work extra, but
Mm,
it wasn't impossible. Like, if 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 you put your mind to it, yes, you have to put in a little bit more effort, but it was doable. And I didn't feel, I wasn't like, oh no, that was so sexist of you to say all these things. I didn't think like that. Um, I just like, well, yeah, that's okay. It's okay that, you doubt. Maybe you're saying these things because you're worried, but I am going to use whatever you say as a
me as
fuel.
well. So I like to explore this notion of identity
Yeah,
because most of us hold multiple identities, right? And some of
yeah,
us are trying to reconcile those multiple identities. So for
yeah.
example, I'm a Singaporean, but I'm also Arab, Javanese. I'm also a woman. So that's my nationality, my ethnic, my racial identity, and also my gender identity. So I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to know what your journey has been like, coming into your own and forming your own identity.
Okay, so I'm Malaysian. I'm Malay. I'm actually three quarters Malay and a quarter Pakistani. That's from my mom's side. My late grandfather's Pakistani. But I identify as Malay, and I'm a woman. Um, and yes, I'm Malaysian. Um, my journey, it's it's been a little bit complicated. I don't necessarily fit in here in Malaysia, although being Malay. Not to say, I mean, this is not me complaining, whining. I'm just simply sharing what it has been like. I am, I'm not, the I, how do I say it? I don't look like most Malays. So this is what I get a lot from
Mhm.
people who don't know me, or when I started working on TV. Like that's one of the feedbacks that I used to get. Like, she's not Malay enough. She doesn't sound Malay enough. She doesn't look Malay enough. And it was important that I looked Malay and I sound Malay because that is where the mass is. You know,
Mhm.
when you put someone on the free to air channel, the local channel here in Malaysia, if it is a program in Malay, then you would want someone who looks and sounds Malay. But unfortunately, I did not really fit into that box. So I remember being a bit upset about it. especially when I just started. I was, again, very, very young. I was 20 years old. And having told this, you're not Malay enough, it's hard to sell women, like women, female chefs, like look at all the other chefs before this, they're all male, they're married. So it's easier for them to teach people how to cook. You're not married. You don't have that maternal instinct to teach all these housewives, all these mothers to cook. And I just remember thinking, wow, that's just crazy. I mean,
Yes.
like I definitely cannot do anything about the fact that I'm not married, because I wasn't gonna get married to someone simply because I needed to have that maternal instinct. And I am the fourth child of eight. So I had four younger siblings, and I helped my mom look after my younger siblings, even at a young age. So it's not fair to say somebody don't have maternal instinct only because they're not mothers themselves. One.
Absolutely.
Two, not Malay enough. I did not know what to do when I heard that. And I remember being affected by it. Like, I would go home and cry to my mom and say, what does this even mean? What? I'm not Malay enough, but I am Malay. It says that on my birth certificate. Why am I not Malay enough? What are they saying? And I remember at one point, I kind of felt like I had to change myself, because they not only did they say that, they said, unless you can be like this, you be like this, but you be like this with your family, you be like this with your friends. But on TV, you have to be that, what we need you to be. So I thought, how much do I want to commit myself into this? Like, how much do I want to succeed in this industry? And then I invented the Makcik Anis, like full on Makcik Anis boleh cakap Melayu, fasih gila, cakap macam makcik, semua benda.
Wow.
And I remember, like, for a really long time, that was like, in my head, that is how it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be Anis, the Anis that I am, only with friends and family, and the Anis that the TV needs for my work. And only recently, I think, God, about 4 or 5 years ago, that I told myself, I don't need to do that. I'm here to teach people how to cook. And I don't expect anything from anyone. I just want to share my knowledge. I love what I do. I love being able to share my recipes, because I feel like it is such an amazing thing to do. I love it when people try my recipe and then come back to me and say, I cooked this for my wife, I cooked this for my husband, I cooked this for my children, and they love it. And I now have teenagers writing to me that they try my recipe and cook it for their parents. I mean, to me, that is amazing. And this is why I'm doing what I do. So I don't need to be, okay, because I'm Malay. I am 100% Malay. No, sorry, 75% Malay, If I even it up, it's 100%, by the way. And I don't need to be a certain type of Malay to have people accept me. So yeah, that's my journey.
Firstly, thank you so much for sharing what you shared. I really, really appreciate that. And there's so much to unpack. And I'm, really noticing time as well. But I really want to get into it. It's just, I'm really sorry that was your experience, and you had to shed parts of yourself, to fit in that mold. And it's so funny, but I can't help but see the similarities in what it's like for me being an ethnic minority here in Singapore, and that's
Yeah,
something that I felt like I've had to do my whole life.
yeah,
But it's so interesting because you're Malay in Malaysia and you're majority in Malaysia, whereas I'm
yeah,
an ethnic minority. But because you don't look Malay enough, even that is questioned, and you're made to kind of like be more
yeah.
Malay in that sense to be accepted.
What is Malay anyways? Like I don't even understand that. Like, you know, why do you have to be like everyone else in order for you to be categorized as Malay enough? To me, that doesn't make sense. Okay,
No,
but go on.
no, that is a very good question, and I'd love to hear, because this, I don't have the answers. I'm here to also, really explore and learn, and find the right
Yeah,
language, to make sense, I guess, and connect to my identity. So
yeah,
this is like anyone who's joined this, and you have some thoughts on your identity and you want to share it. Please, please go along. Please share as well. And yeah, it's just amazing to know that despite our similarities, which is that we both identify with the Malay culture, and you're Malay as well, and but even then you're not even accepted, you're not enough for me. Like, I am half Arab, half Japanese. I don't feel Arab enough, I don't feel Japanese enough, I culturally Malay. So it's just, that's why I'm like, what am I, and why are we so fixated on racial identity as well?
yeah,
Like, I obviously, my gender identity I am completely sure of.
yeah,
My nationality, I am, a proud Singaporean, but even then I do question, like, what is it about me that's Singaporean? So and this is where it gets really interesting, because for me and you, we speak Malay.
yeah,
Culturally, we our celebrations, all of that, like we get it, we understand it as well.
yeah.
But we experience it differently as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, and
Um,
no, go for it.
yeah, I think like right now, like I mentioned earlier, I used to get so fixated about it, like so stressed out, like why, people accept me. I am Malay, look at me. Try my best to just, to just be like however they want me to be. And then I realized that I wasn't very happy doing it. I wasn't, because I wasn't being myself, so everything felt like it was forced. Work felt like work. And that's the thing. Like, of course, I I love my job. I love it so much. And all this while, how many years of doing this, it never actually felt like work. It felt like, oh, I am about to do something I love. Um, but yeah, when you have to like split yourself into like two different personalities, your work personality and your personal life personality, and it becomes draining.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes um yeah it becomes a problem. And I realized that, and I remember just being quite like resentful, like, oh, now I have to put a front. Oh, now I have to be that me. And it's not that, like, I still, once I'm into it, like once I started doing it, it was fine. Like, I don't feel it, weird or forced or anything. But just the fact that I have to constantly switch,
Mm-hmm.
that isn't right, and I think people are more accepting now. I realized that when I decided to just like, what, I'm just gonna be myself, and just be however I am, speak however I feel like speaking. And of course, I do get some negative comments and such, but I didn't allow it to affect me. I just, these are just comments from people, and people are allowed. to have the opinions, and they're sharing it with me. I'm just going to let it pass, and that's that. Um, but now I realize that people don't really care. I don't feel like I get that kind of pressure anymore.
Hmm.
I
So do you
don't
think
get.
you were putting that pressure on yourself as well?
Yes, of course. I wanted to be liked. I wanted people to accept me.
Mm.
I wanted, to have great ratings. I mean, who doesn't? um, but I kind of slowly stopped. I,
Uh,
I said, this is just me, however I am with my family, however I am at home, however I am with my friends. I would like other people to see me as that as well. And
I am I am
and then
so happy for you
yeah,
that you've come into your own and you've accepted and loved all parts of yourself. But what I'd love to know is, was there like an aha moment where it clicked for you and you decided, I am going to show up as myself fully today? Or what were the steps you took,
it
to
wasn't
get there?
that
Because I
wasn't
am
in
I am honestly struggling with that right now, and I notice,
okay.
some people are commenting, some women are commenting that's something that they are also struggling with. So
Yeah.
how did you arrive in that place where you're like, I am enough, it doesn't matter what others think, even about, you embrace your identities fully.
There wasn't an aha moment, and quite honestly, I am still um, learning. I'm still learning about myself. I'm still going through that journey of accepting myself as well. I know there's a lot of people who've started way younger, like than when I started. I started at the age of 20. But I wasn't an adult. I was still very young, and to be told a lot of things by people who are much older than you. Of course, you believe that that's how it's supposed to be. Like I believe that okay, if I want to succeed in this industry, I have to listen to them because they know what they're saying, they know what the viewers want, and all of that. So it is not just from all of that I just mentioned, that's it's a lot more. It's like how you look. If you put on weight, you will be told that you've put on weight, and you will be told to do something about it. And even makeup, like I would never go out before this if I don't have makeup on because I have people I see in the grocery store, in the market, telling me, why don't you wear makeup? You owe it to your fans to look good.
Wow.
I get that. And I sort of was conditioned to thinking or believing that, I need to look a certain way, sound a certain way for me to be successful in this industry. And for a long time, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. For
Yeah.
the longest time, I believed that. Like, I would never go out without makeup. I have a certain look. Like, okay, like, this is how I'm supposed to look, and this is how I'm supposed to look on camera, off camera. And and COVID happened. And when
Mm.
COVID happened, I just remember like not wanting to dress up, not wanting to put on makeup, not wanting to, be like the Anis on TV at all because I'm at home. Um, and in the beginning, it felt like it felt weird. It felt like I wasn't being myself because in my mind, being myself is full on makeup, you know, certain types of clothing, um, all of that lah. Basically, you can see in my Instagram, in the past prior to COVID. um, and then I remember just thinking, I'm like, can't do it. It's too much for me. It really is too much for me. I'm not going to be one of those people who wake up, shower, put on makeup, and then go into the kitchen. No, I'm not going to be that person. I do not want to put on my makeup, my fake lashes in my kitchen. No, thank you. So I just stopped. I just stopped, and and it felt great. And I got so many good response. I did all of my sessions in English, and before this, I would never even do that. I would do it in Malay because I want more people to listen to me. I want more people to, again, because I've been told that that's what it takes. So when COVID happened, I'm like, I'm just gonna be me. I'm gonna be as comfortable as I can be, and still do the same thing, still share my recipes, my knowledge with whoever wants it. And I realized that, hey, you're still honest. You're still that honest. You don't need to have so much makeup on. You don't need to get your hair done. I just do my hair, by the way, today. Um, you know,
Love it.
I realized that, and that's when I know what matters most is my perception of myself, my self-acceptance. I If I were to live my life to please everyone, to do everything that people tell me I have to do just because they have more experience in this industry than I do, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna be so depressed. I'm going to absolutely lose myself. And I wasn't willing to do that. And I realized also, like, this wanting to be that whatever they said I should be. I wouldn't even say that's perfection because I don't think I've ever reached perfection. But being what they told me I should be, um, I was neglecting my well-being, my my mental health, my physical health. Some days I go on, I don't eat at all just because, oh, I don't have time, or no, it's too fattening, oh, I put on weight. And I go through like all those extremes because I felt like I had to fit in, because I had to look a certain way. Oh, Anis, you have the tiniest waist. Okay, I have to maintain that tiny waist. Okay, I overate yesterday. I'm not gonna eat today. And I don't, and it's something that I don't even realize I was doing. I didn't, you know, and it is harmful for me. And I only realized it when COVID happened and I was stuck with myself and I had to reflect on my life and my habits and my ways. And I slowly, you know, question myself, yo, what are you doing? Like, you know, what are you doing? Now you're stuck at home, now you're just eating because you don't care, because you're not gonna go on camera. Like, that's not right. Like, you should be exercising. And then I realized that, and then I started doing it, and slowly, I accepted myself even more. I know that I am flawed. I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect, and it's okay because I don't want perfection. Nobody should chase perfection. And it's the same with what people tell you. Sometimes people tell you things and you absorb it, and you let that get to you. You tell yourself, this person, or these group of people, they think I'm like this or like that, and I shouldn't be like this, like that. And you work really hard to try and be what they want you to be, or what they think you should be. And then you tell yourself, and then you believe that you believe them.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
absorb the noises and you believe them, and then you tell yourself, oh yes, there's something wrong with me. I'm not doing this right. I should try to be more like this. And then you will end up
Use.
losing yourself, your true identity.
Absolutely. That's
Um,
exactly what Nabila said as well. She said it's such a complex process balancing being adaptable, accepted, and then risk losing yourself
yes,
in that process as well.
yes,
Anis, thank you so much for sharing essentially your journey into becoming, the most authentic version of yourself. And I'm so happy for you that you've allowed yourself and you've given yourself that space and you're honoring that space for yourself to listen to yourself and look within and try to ignore essentially
yeah,
what you've felt like you've been conditioned to believe and listen to,
yeah,
because you started this you know when you were really young. You're 20, and that's the other thing, 20 is actually really young. Now
yeah,
that we're in our 30s, we know
yeah,
that what was going on in our 20s. We were just really
yeah,
coming to where we are today. And again, this is still a journey. We are still works in progress as well.
yeah,
And
yeah.
because this whole series is about Nusantara women conversations, I have to ask you, what does being a Nusantara woman mean to you?
I love it. I think it although I am, again, people might think that I don't necessarily fit into the typical type of Malay, but I am a proud Malay. I think being a Malay is make me who I am today. It's my beliefs, the culture, the beliefs, the ways, our ways. It shaped me into the person that I am today, 100%. At home, uh, I grew up with my grandparents. My grandparents were with us growing up, and they spoke with a northern accent, with a Penang accent. And like a lot of people don't know, like, growing up, I had the thickest Penang accent. I may not speak the like perfect TV Malay back then, but I spoke amazing Penang accent. Um, and that also shaped me into the person that I am today. And I'm grateful for being a Malay and having all these things, all these growing up with all these things, with the culture, as I mentioned, culture, religion, and everything that I have. I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you so much for sharing that. You shared how you embrace your identity as a Nusantara woman, and you're someone who have represented your country in different events and awards and things like that. In on the global stage, in the world as well. I just wanted to know, how has your identity as a Nusantara woman played into all of it?
Ooh,
Has
that's
it made a
a tough one.
difference?
Absolutely.
Have you ever felt like, because when we talk about Asian women, then for me, like what I've been seeing, in the media as well, when we talk about Asian women, we see South Asian women, we see Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and then I feel like, oh, where are the Southeast Asian Malay women?
Yeah,
And then I think of,
that's
people like you, who are
yeah,
going out there representing Malaysia, being a proud Muslim, and I see people like Yuna, like Anggun, and you're all like
yeah.
amazing, women. I wanted to know whether has that how has that experience been like for you? And is this something you think about? Is this something you're conscious of?
I know that I do realize that there's not enough representation um, for our people in the global scale. But I honestly feel like it's going to happen soon. Back then, I am. more than a decade ago, I worked with an international company that wanted me to work on some recipes, but they didn't want me to be the one who cooks them. So they wanted to hire a Caucasian lady because it was more the, like they can Caucasian people would appeal globally. Um, and at that point of time, like people don't really question these things. When they tell you that, you're like, oh yeah, okay, fair point. Um, but now I think 2022, everything's different now. It's a lot different now. And I think representation is important. And I remember having this conversation with you. Um, Not just representation, like the correct representation, right? For instance, talking about what I do, like I'm a chef from Malaysia, and it doesn't make sense for global channel to say, hey, Anis, we want to hire you, but we want you to cook all the traditional Singaporean dishes. I can do it. It's not a problem. But wouldn't it be right to hire Singaporean people to do that? See, the correct representation. I think that is important. Like what happened recently with New York Times. You know, they did
Yes.
the whole Singapore curry.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. You got someone of Chinese descent to do the recipe, but it wasn't even it wasn't Singaporean curry. It didn't even look like curry, and she's not even, you know, she's based in Taipei. She speaks with an American accent. Not that anything is wrong with that, but it is the wrong kind of representation. And then someone cooking the wrong thing and
Yeah.
claiming that that's, you know, Singaporean curry. So I bet if they hired someone from Singapore and that person did a poor job, I don't think Singapore would even, like, Singaporean would be even that upset,
We were
because they
upset.
might just
We
say
were
they
so
would,
upset.
you guys would be upset. But if that were to happen, if they had hired a Singaporean person to do it, you guys would be upset with that person. You did such a bad job. You know, you wouldn't be upset with the company that's doing
Yeah.
it. So I think not only do we need representation, we need the correct representation. And yes, and I agree with you, we don't have enough Malays in this industry, but you know, for the last 15 years, I've seen changes, and I'm really hoping that all these things, you know, because we talk about respecting other people's cultures and race and all of that, and I hope that it will change in the next few years.
I really hope so too, and I really hope, you know, when this, you know, came out, and I have friends in Malaysia, Indonesia, and they saw this, and it's been so amazing to hear that they feel like, oh, this is, it's about time, you know, that we talk about our similarities and also our differences, and just have a space, a safe space really, where we can feel seen and heard, and have a greater sense of belonging as well. Because even though we're so different, there are so many similarities, and that would allow us to connect with each other as well, and to give us a language, really the language to connect to our lived experiences. So I'm so grateful that you agreed, and you want to share your story, because you're right. Representation matters. Representation matters because then we can imagine what, the versions of success. We can see that, oh, this is something we can achieve because someone who looks like us, talks like us, understands, our culture and all that, like they have done it, so can we. And that's why representation really, really matters. And before I end this session, I just wanted to ask you, do you have one message? What is one message that you have for other Nusantara women who are tuning in what is one message for them?
I think just be yourself. Um, you are special. All of us are. You know, we're all different. Don't try and force yourself to fit into a certain box. Just be yourself. Embrace yourself. Embrace the good things. Embrace the bad things. And that's that. Just be true to yourself.
I love that.
And
And I think
don't let anyone, like, don't let all the negative things affect you. Like, you hear it, you brush it off. Because if you're gonna let every single negative things in, then it's not going to be good for you.
thank you so much, Anis. That is such a great message. And I think that is essentially what your journey has been. And I'm so happy for you and I'm so proud of you for
Thank
being
you.
able to really listen to your voice, and really believe and trust it, and trust the process. It's a process. And I'm so glad that you're here. So glad for everyone who's joined us. Thank you so much,
Thank
for being
you.
here. And I wish you a very good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, my darling. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining in and listening to us. And I can't wait for the other episodes.
I can't wait too. This is just the beginning.